Captain sat in his command chair aboard the Eternal Dawn, watching the stars drift past the viewport. He had commanded diplomatic vessels for 12 years, and in all that time, he had never fired a weapon in anger. That was how Earth liked it. That was how they survived in a galaxy full of species that could crush them. The communication panel beeped. His first officer, a young woman named, turned to him with worry in her eyes. "Captain, we're receiving distress calls from the colony on New Sol." Felt his stomach tighten. New Sol was home to 50,000 people, farmers mostly, teachers, children. Put it through. The voice that came through was panicked, breaking up with static. "This is New Sol Colony. We're under attack. Warships have entered orbit and are firing on civilian centers. We need help. Please, Earth, send help." Then silence. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to turn the ship around, to race to New Sol, to fight. But he knew what his orders would be before they came through. "Captain," said quietly, "Command is sending new orders." He read them on his screen. "Evacuate all remaining colonies in Sector 7. Do not engage forces. Maintain diplomatic posture." "Maintain diplomatic posture," repeated, his voice hollow, "while they murder our people." Looked away. She was young enough that she didn't remember why Earth acted this way. She didn't understand the history. "Sir, why don't we fight? Our ships are equipped with weapons. We have the technology." "No," interrupted, "we don't, not compared to them." It was a lie, but it was the lie that kept humanity alive. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath the surface, Doctor stood before a massive screen showing genetic data. The data worried him. It had worried him for months. "The suppressors are showing decreased effectiveness," he said to the council members watching via hologram, "particularly in younger populations who have been exposed to stress situations." Admiral, a grizzled man with silver hair, leaned forward. "How decreased?" 15% are showing signs of spontaneous reversion. Nothing major yet. Increased aggression, better reflexes, enhanced pattern recognition. But if we continue to face attacks without response, the psychological pressure could cause widespread failure. One of the council members, a woman named who served as Earth's president, closed her eyes. "How long have we been doing this? How long have we been pretending?" 203 years, answered, "since first contact. And in all that time, we've never told them the truth." "No, because if we told them, they would never let us join the Galactic Council. They would see us as monsters." Nodded slowly. "Continue monitoring. If the suppressors fail, we'll have bigger problems than the—" Ambassador stood before the Galactic Council, a semicircle of alien dignitaries representing 47 species. She was not related to the young officer on ship, but she shared the same name, the same frustration, and the same duty. "The Empire has committed an act of genocide," she said, her voice trembling with carefully controlled emotion. 50,000 human civilians are dead. They attacked a farming colony with no military value. This is a war crime by any definition. The representative, a tall creature with gray skin and 6 arms, laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. "War crime? There is no war. Your species evacuated 17 colonies without firing a single shot. You run like prey animals. New Sol was simply claimed as territory." "We run because we value peace," shot back, "because we believe in diplomacy." "You run because you are weak," the said. "Your species has no fangs, no claws, no natural weapons. You are soft. It is the way of the galaxy that the strong take from the weak." Other council members murmured. Some seemed sympathetic to humanity, but most looked away. They were powerful. They had a fleet of thousands of ships. Why would the council anger them over humans? Returned to Earth defeated, she met with President in a private office. "They won't help us," said. "The council sees us as expendable." Poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to the ambassador. Did you expect different? I suppose not. Took a long drink. How long can we keep this up? How long can we keep running? As long as we have to. Walked to the window. Earth stretched out below, blue and green and beautiful. Do you know why we modified ourselves? Why we changed our genetics before we ever left this planet? The history classes say it was to make us peaceful, to make us fit for civilized space. That's the simple version. Turned back to her. The truth is more complicated. When we first detected alien signals, when we first knew we weren't alone, our scientists studied those transmissions for years. They learned the galaxy's languages, its cultures, its values, and they realized something terrifying. What? That humans were different, that Earth's evolution had created something unique. Our planet was violent. Our ancestors survived by being better predators than anything else on Earth. We evolved to track, to hunt, to kill with precision and coordination. Our brains developed to plan, to strategize, to work in groups. We became the most efficient killing machines in the galaxy, and we didn't even know it. Felt cold, so we changed ourselves. We had to. If we wanted to join the galactic community, we had to become something they could accept. So we modified our genetics. We suppressed our aggression, enhanced our empathy, limited our physical capabilities. We made ourselves appear weak and harmless. But we're not. No, said quietly, we're not. And that's the secret we've kept for 200 years, the secret we'll keep dying to protect. On the moon, in a facility that no alien had ever seen, Commander Bin watched his team train. They were special operations, the best of the best. They trained for scenarios that officially didn't exist. His second-in-command, a woman named Sola, approached him. Commander, I'm hearing rumors about new Sol. 50,000 dead, Bin confirmed. Sola's jaw tightened, and we do nothing. We do what we're ordered to do. We wait. Wait for what? Bin looked at her seriously. Wait for the order that I hope never comes, because if it does, Sola, everything changes. The suppressors come off, and we become what we really are. Would that be so bad? At least we'd stop dying. You don't understand, Bin said. You're too young. You've lived your whole life with the suppressors active. You don't know what baseline humanity is like, what we're capable of. He paused. I've seen the old records from before the modifications, from Earth's wars. Trust me, you don't want that unleashed. Even to save lives. Especially then. Bin turned back to watch the training, because once we start, I don't know if we can stop. Captain received the casualty reports from New Sol. They had been thorough. Every building destroyed, every person dead or captured. They were making an example. Young approached him again. Captain, the crew is asking questions. Why don't we fight? Looked at her for a long moment. Then he made a decision. Closed the door. She did. What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level, he said, but you deserve to know why we do this. He brought up files on his personal screen. 200 years ago, humanity made a choice. We decided to change ourselves to join the galaxy. We became peaceful, weak, harmless. But it was a choice, and choices can be unmade. She stared at the genetic data scrolling past. What are you saying? I'm saying that if they push us too far, if they force us past the breaking point, Earth will make a different choice. And when that happens, he met her eyes, the galaxy will learn what humanity really is. 3 months after New Sol fell, the attacks continued. They had tasted victory and found it sweet. They moved through human space like a slow plague, taking colony after colony. Each time, Earth's response was the same: evacuate and retreat. Lieutenant Wu stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting New. He watched through the viewport as civilian transport ships loaded with refugees streamed away from the planet below. Another evacuation. Another retreat. Sir, his communications officer said, the fleet has entered the system. Wu pulled up the tactical display. 12 warships moving in formation, more than enough to overwhelm the station's defenses. How long until the last transport clears? 2 hours. And they will be in firing range in 90 minutes. Wu felt anger burn in his chest. They had weapons. The station had enough firepower to take out half that fleet, but his orders were clear. Do not engage. Buy time for the evacuation, then abandon the station. This is wrong, he muttered. His second officer, a man named, glanced at him. Sir. Nothing. Wu straightened his uniform. Prepare to evacuate the station. Set the reactor to scuttle on our departure. He watched the ships approach and something stirred inside him. Something that felt like it had been sleeping his whole life. A cold anger, a predator's patience. He pushed it down the way he had been taught. Dr. Ara stood in her laboratory, surrounded by screens showing genetic data from human populations across known space. The numbers were worse than last month. Much worse. 23% now showing signs of reversion, she said into her recorder. The suppressors are failing faster than predicted. Subjects report increased aggression, heightened sensory awareness, and improved physical capabilities. Several have reported dreams of hunting. She pulled up a scan of her own genetics. Even she was showing signs of change. Her muscle density had increased by 4%. Her reaction time had improved by 12%. And yesterday, she had caught a glass falling from a table without even thinking about it. Her hand had moved with a speed and precision that should have been impossible. Recommendation, she continued. If hostilities continue, we will face spontaneous widespread reversion within 6 months. The suppressors cannot hold against this level of sustained stress. She sent the report to Admiral and sat back in her chair. Through her window, she could see the Pacific Ocean stretching to the horizon. Somewhere out there, in secure facilities hidden beneath the waves, humanity kept its secrets. The weapons they had never used, the ships they had never deployed, the truth they had never told. The Supreme Commander addressed his war council. He was pleased with the progress. 17 human colonies had fallen. Each one had surrendered without significant resistance. The humans are even weaker than we believed, said, his 6 arms gesturing at the star map. They have technology, yes, but they lack the will to use it. They are philosophers, not warriors. One of his subordinates spoke up. Commander, there are rumors. Intelligence suggests that humans may be hiding their true capabilities. Laughed, hiding. For 200 years they have been members of the Galactic Council. In all that time, have they ever shown strength? Have they ever fought back? No, they write letters, they make speeches, they evacuate. He pointed at the map. In 3 months we will reach Earth itself, and we will make humanity an example. The galaxy will see that peace without power is just another word for slavery. The council cheered. None of them had studied Earth's history before the genetic modifications. None of them knew what humans had been. They only knew what humans appeared to be. Commander Bin received activation orders for the first time in his career. He read them twice, then called his team together in the secure briefing room. The status has changed, he said without preamble. We are now at Alert Level 2. Begin combat preparation protocols. Sola, his second, looked shocked. Alert Level 2, that hasn't happened in 200 years. Been finished. I know. The room fell silent. Every person there understood what this meant. Alert Level 2 meant that Earth was considering removing the suppressors. It meant humanity might go to war not as the peaceful species they pretended to be, but as what they really were. What are our orders? Someone asked. Train, Bin said. Train harder than you ever have. Because if we go to Alert Level 1, if the suppressors come off, we need to be ready. We need to remember how to be human. But we are human, Sola said. Bin shook his head. No, we're modified humans, suppressed humans. Humans designed to fit into civilized society. Our ancestors were something else, something the galaxy has never seen. He pulled up old videos on the screen, archive footage from before the modifications. soldiers moving through war zones with deadly precision, athletes performing feats of endurance that would shame most alien species, hunters tracking prey across impossible terrain. "This is what we were," Ben said quietly, "before we decided to be nice." President sat in her office with Admiral and Ambassador. Between them on the desk lay reports from the front: casualties, lost colonies, economic damage. "We can't sustain this," said bluntly. "We've lost 30% of our colonial holdings. Another 20% are evacuating. If this continues for another 6 months, we'll be pushed back to the Sol system." "And if we fight?" asked. "If we lift the suppressors, if we deploy our real military capabilities, we can end this war in weeks, maybe days." Shook her head. "But at what cost? The moment we show our true nature, we'll be expelled from the Galactic Council, we'll become pariahs. Everything we've built for 2 centuries will be destroyed." "Everything we've built is being destroyed anyway," pointed out. "They are just moving slower." Stood and walked to her window. "There's another factor," she said. "Dr. Ara's reports. The suppressors are failing on their own. If we don't make a choice, the choice will be made for us." "Then we should make it on our terms," argued. "We should strike now, while we still have control." "No," turned back to them. "Not yet. We give them one chance, one warning. We tell them the truth and we give them the opportunity to stop." "They'll laugh at us," said. "Probably, but we'll have tried. And when we do finally act, no one can say we didn't warn them." On a captured human transport ship, 37 human prisoners sat in chains. They had decided that some humans would be more valuable as slaves than as corpses. They would be examples, shown on broadcasts throughout the galaxy to demonstrate power. Among the prisoners was a young woman named. She had been a teacher on New Sol. Now she was cargo. A guard approached her cell. "You," it said in broken human speech. "Tomorrow you go on broadcast. You tell Galaxy that humans are weak, that are strong, you understand." Looked up at the creature. It was twice her size, covered in armor, armed with weapons. By every measure it was stronger than her. But as she met its eyes, she felt something stir inside her, something old and cold and patient. "I understand," she said quietly. The guard laughed and walked away. It didn't see his hands working at her chains. It didn't notice that her fingers were moving with unusual strength and precision. It didn't know that her genetic suppressors were failing, that her body was remembering what it had been designed to forget. Captain received new orders from Earth Command. He read them, then read them again. Then he called Lieutenant Wu to his ready room. "Wu, I'm reassigning you," he said. "You're going back to Earth." "Sir, why?" "Because you've been selected for a special training program, one that will prepare you for potential changes in our strategic posture." Wu frowned. "I don't understand." Met his eyes. "You will. They're going to teach you what humanity really is, what we gave up to join the galaxy, and what we might have to become again." "Sir, you're speaking in riddles." "I know, but trust me on this. Pay attention to what they teach you. Because if things continue the way they're going, you and soldiers like you are going to become very important. You're going to become Earth's real military." "I thought we didn't have a real military." Smiled grimly. "That's what we tell them. The truth is more complicated." As Wu left, pulled up classified files on his terminal. Files that showed the true scope of Earth's hidden preparations. Weapons that violated galactic conventions. Ships that moved faster than anything aliens had built. Training programs designed to unlock humanity's suppressed potential. And in the deepest files, locked behind the highest security, were the activation codes. The codes that would shut down the genetic suppressors across all of humanity. The codes that would unleash 200 years of bottled evolution. He hoped those codes would never be used. But with each passing day, with each new attack, with each laugh at humanity's weakness, he became more certain that hope was fading. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy thought humans were prey. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The broadcast went out on every channel in every language to every corner of known space. President sat at her desk, looking directly into the camera, and the entire galaxy watched. "This is President of Earth," she began. Her voice was calm, but those who knew her could hear the steel beneath. "For 200 years, humanity has been a member of the Galactic Council. We have been peaceful neighbors, faithful allies, and advocates for diplomacy. We have suffered attacks on our colonies, the deaths of our people, and the enslavement of our citizens. Through all of this, we have not retaliated." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Many of you believe this is because we are weak, because we lack the capability or the will to defend ourselves. This is incorrect. Today, I am here to tell you the truth about humanity, a truth we have kept hidden for 2 centuries. The Supreme Commander watched the broadcast with amusement. His council members laughed openly. The weak human president was about to make threats she couldn't back up. "When humanity first detected alien life," continued, "we studied you. We learned your languages, your cultures, your values, and we realized that to join your civilization we would need to change. Humanity evolved on a violent world. Our evolution made us into something that would terrify you. So we made a choice. We modified our own genetics. We suppressed our aggression, limited our physical capabilities, and enhanced our empathy. We made ourselves into something you could accept." She leaned forward. "But those modifications can be undone. And today I am broadcasting this message to the Empire and to anyone else who believes humanity is prey. This is your final warning. Stop attacking us. Stop killing our people. Stop enslaving our citizens. Because if you do not, we will stop pretending to be human." The broadcast ended. For a moment the galaxy was silent. Then the laughter began. Social media networks across dozens of species filled with mockery. Humans trying to sound tough. Humans making empty threats. Humans desperate and weak. The War Council laughed hardest of all. "She threatens us with removing modifications," said, wiping his eyes. "What will they do? Become slightly less pathetic? This changes nothing. In fact, it makes things clearer. They are desperate. We will accelerate our plans. We will attack Earth itself." His council cheered. Within hours, orders went out. The fleet, 10,000 ships strong, began to gather. They would assault humanities and end this farce once and for all. On Earth, Dr. Aura watched the preparations with a heavy heart. She had been given authorization to begin the process. The shutdown of the genetic suppressors would take 72 hours. Already, the first stage had begun. "How are they responding?" Admiral asked, standing beside her in the control room. "Better than expected," Aura said, reviewing the data. 97% acceptance rate. The population understands what's about to happen." "Do they understand what they'll become?" "They've been educated. Whether they truly understand," she shook her head. "How can they? They've never experienced baseline humanity. None of us have." Looked at his own hands. "I was born after the modifications. My parents, my grandparents, everyone I've ever known has lived with the suppressors. Sometimes I wonder if we're making a mistake." "We're out of choices," Aura said. "They are coming. Either we fight as we are and lose, or we fight as we were and maybe survive." "Maybe." "I've studied the old records. Pre-modification humanity was dangerous, incredibly dangerous. But they were also self-destructive. Our species nearly destroyed itself a dozen times before we reached the stars. War, genocide, weapons that could end worlds. What if removing the suppressors brings that back? Then we'll deal with it after we survive." Ambassador recalled every human diplomat from alien worlds. The message was clear: come home. When asked why, she simply said, "Because Earth needs you, and because it's not safe for you out there anymore." Some aliens understood. Most didn't. They still saw humans as harmless. Even after the warning, even after the broadcast, they couldn't imagine humanity as a threat. On the transport ship where was imprisoned, the broadcast had been shown to the prisoners. The guards wanted them to see their leader making empty threats. They wanted to break any remaining hope. Instead felt something else: recognition, understanding, and deep in her genetic code something stirring to life. That night when the guards changed shifts, pulled her hands free from the chains, the metal shouldn't have bent. Her bones shouldn't have been able to withstand that pressure. But they did. The suppressors were failing. Her body was reverting. She moved through the ship in darkness. Other prisoners watched, some in fear, some in wonder. She reached the communications room and killed the guard there with her bare hands. It was efficient, brutal, instinctive. She sent a burst transmission to Earth. 37 prisoners alive. Current location. Request extraction. Then she sealed the communications room and waited. Commander Bin received the transmission and immediately assembled his team. This was what they had trained for. This was why Alert Level 2 existed. Extraction mission, he told his squad. 37 prisoners on a transport ship. We go in, we get them out, we leave no trace. Sir, Sola said, our orders have always been to avoid direct confrontation. Orders have changed, Bin said. He showed them the authorization codes. As of 3 hours ago, we are cleared for offensive operations. The suppressors are being deactivated. We are going to war. The team suited up in equipment that had been stored for 2 centuries. Weapons that aliens had never seen. Armor that incorporated human advantages. Endurance, adaptability, pattern recognition. They boarded a stealth ship that shouldn't have existed and launched toward the transport. When they arrived, Bin felt it for the first time. His suppressors were beginning to fail. He could feel his senses sharpening, his thoughts becoming clearer, more focused. He could feel the predator waking up inside him. They breached the ship without triggering alarms. They moved through corridors with perfect silence and coordination. When they encountered guards, the guards died quickly and efficiently. Bin's team moved like they had been doing this for years, even though most had never seen real combat. It was instinct. It was genetic memory. It was what humanity had been before they decided to be civilized. They found standing over 3 dead guards. She looked up at them and Bin saw something in her eyes that he recognized. She was reverting too, faster than most. I knew you'd come, she said simply. Are you hurt? No, but I'm changing. I can feel it. I'm becoming something else. We all are, Bin said. He looked at the other prisoners. Many showed signs of reversion. Improved posture, sharper eyes, steadier hands. That's why we're getting you out. Earth needs every person now. They extracted all 37 prisoners and destroyed the transport ship on their way out. No survivors. No witnesses. When they found the wreckage, they would only know that a human ship had vanished without explanation. It was the first shot in a war they didn't know had started. President sat in her office as the countdown timer ticked down. 48 hours until the fleet reached Earth. 48 hours until humanity either survived or went extinct. Admiral entered. The defense fleet is in position. We've activated all the ships. All of them. Every ship we've kept in storage. Every weapon we've never deployed. They think we have 200 defensive platforms. We have 2,000. They think we have 50 warships. We have 500. Will it be enough? Against 10,000 ships, shook his head. If we were still modified, no, we'd be slaughtered, but the suppressors are coming off. Our pilots, our gunners, our soldiers, they're reverting to baseline, and baseline humanity. He smiled grimly. Baseline humanity doesn't know how to lose. Looked at Earth through her window, blue and green and beautiful, humanity's birthplace, the world that had shaped them into apex predators long before they reached the stars. I hope we're making the right choice, she said quietly. We made the right choice 200 years ago when we modified ourselves for peace, said, and we're making the right choice now when we undo it for survival. That's what humans do, Madam President. We adapt. The fleet entered human space 3 days later. 10,000 warships, the largest military force assembled in galactic history. They broadcasted their intent, the complete conquest of Earth. They expected panic, desperate evacuation attempts, pleas for mercy. Instead, they received a simple message from Earth: you were warned. Supreme Commander laughed when he heard it. Arrogant to the end, begin the attack, show no mercy. The fleet moved toward Earth in formation, weapons charging, shields up. They were confident. They were powerful. They were about to learn what humanity really was. And on Earth, in millions of homes, the genetic suppressors finished their shutdown sequence. Across the planet, across every colony, throughout every human settlement, people felt the change. 200 years of artificial evolution reversed in 72 hours. Humanity woke up, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, and he was different. They were all different. The 72 hours had passed, and the suppressors were gone. He could feel it in every cell of his body. His vision was sharper, able to track multiple objects at once. His hearing picked up sounds that should have been too faint. His mind worked faster, processing tactical data with a speed that felt supernatural but was simply natural. This was what humans had been, before the modifications, before they decided to be civilized. "Sir," Lieutenant Wu said from the weapons station. Wu had returned from Earth a changed man in more ways than one. "The fleet is in range." Looked at the tactical display. 10,000 enemy ships. It should have been terrifying. Instead, he felt only calm focus. His brain was already calculating trajectories, identifying weak points, planning attack patterns. It was instinct, predator instinct. "All ships weapons free," he said. "Execute pattern Delta 7. The human fleet moved with a precision that shocked the 500 ships, acting as one organism, exploiting gaps in the enemy formation that shouldn't have been visible. Human weapons fired with impossible accuracy, hitting weak points in shields that no one should have been able to calculate. Within the first minute, 70 ships were destroyed. On the flagship, Supreme Commander stared at his displays in confusion. How are they doing this? His tactical officer had no answer. "Their firing solutions are perfect. They're predicting our movements before we make them. It's like they can read our minds." "Impossible. Focus fire on their lead ships. Overwhelm them with numbers." But numbers meant nothing when every shot from human ships found its target while most shots missed. The humans moved like they had fought this battle 1,000 times. They anticipated, adapted, adjusted. In the weapons bay of the Prometheus, Wu worked the targeting system with his bare hands flying across the controls. He didn't think about each shot. His brain processed the data, his fingers moved, targets died. It was as natural as breathing. "This is what we were meant to do," he said to himself. "This is what we are." Commander Bin led a boarding party onto a heavy cruiser. His team moved through the corridors like ghosts, weapons ready, senses alert. They could smell them before they saw them, could hear their breathing through walls. When they encountered resistance, the fight was brutally one-sided. They were strong, but humans were fast, coordinated, and efficient. Bin's team moved as a perfect unit, covering angles, eliminating threats, advancing without pause. A soldier fired at Sola. She dodged without thinking, her body reading the shooter's muscle tension and reacting before the trigger was pulled. Her return shot was precise, lethal, instant. "I can see everything," she said in wonder. "Every detail, every movement." "That's baseline," Bin replied, shooting two more without looking directly at them. "That's human." They reached the bridge and eliminated the crew in seconds. Bin accessed the ship's computer and uploaded a virus that would spread to other ships. Then he set the reactor to overload. "Time to go," he said. His team exited the same way they entered, quickly, efficiently, leaving only corpses behind. The cruiser exploded as they cleared the blast radius. Ben watched it burn and felt no remorse, only satisfaction. The predator in him recognized a successful hunt. Dr. Ara monitored the battle from Earth's command center. The data was staggering. Human performance exceeded every projection. Reaction times are 400% above suppressed baseline, she reported to Admiral. Accuracy rates are near perfect. Tactical decision-making is operating at genius level across all personnel. What about psychological effects? Asked. Aggression is elevated but controlled. Empathy is reduced but present. They're not mindless killers, Admiral. They're focused hunters. There's a difference. Nodded, he felt it in himself too. The change. He wanted to be in the battle, directing forces, making tactical decisions. His mind felt clearer than it ever had. How long can they sustain this? Unknown. Pre-modification humans could fight for days without rest, could track prey across hundreds of miles, could coordinate complex operations with minimal communication. We're seeing all of that now. On the battlefield, Captain identified a priority target, the flagship. He coordinated with 6 other human ships, and they executed a precision strike that destroyed the flagship's engines in 3 seconds. Boarding teams go, ordered. Shuttles launched from multiple ships, converging on the crippled flagship. Tried to shoot them down, but the shuttles moved in patterns that seemed random but were actually calculated to exploit blind spots in the targeting systems. They breached the hull, and human soldiers poured into the ship. Supreme Commander watched in horror as his bridge crew died. These weren't the humans he had studied. These weren't the weak, peaceful creatures who wrote letters and made speeches. These were monsters. A human soldier appeared in front of him, moving faster than could track. The soldier's eyes were cold, calculating, deadly. It held a weapon but didn't need it. Could see that. Could see that this creature could kill him with its bare hands if it wanted. "Surrender your fleet," the human said. Its voice was calm, clinical. Never spat. The human tilted its head, analyzing him. "Your choice." It moved and felt pain explode through his body. The human had broken 3 of his arms in less than a second. Precise strikes to joints, incapacitating without killing. "I said surrender. I didn't ask if you wanted to. Your fleet is being destroyed. Your ships are dying. You've lost. Accept it." Looked at his tactical displays. In the 3 hours since the battle began, his fleet had lost 4,000 ships. 4,000. The humans had lost 18. 18. "What are you?" he whispered. "We tried to tell you," the human said. "We warned you. We are what evolution made us. We are predators, we are hunters, we are survivors, and you made the mistake of making us hunt you." On Earth, Young sat in a medical bay being evaluated. The doctor reviewing her scans looked worried. "Your reversion is more complete than most," the doctor said. "Your suppressors failed early, so you've had more time to adapt. Your physical capabilities are exceptional. Your reflexes are in the top percentile. Your aggression markers are elevated." "Is that bad?" asked. "It's different. You're closer to what humans were before the modifications. The question is, can you control it?" Thought about the guards she had killed. It had been easy, too easy. She had felt no hesitation, no remorse, just the satisfaction of a threat eliminated. "I can control it," she said, "but I don't want to suppress it, not anymore." The doctor nodded slowly. "None of us do, that's what I'm afraid of." In space, the battle continued. The fleet was in full retreat now, trying to escape. But human ships were faster, more maneuverable, and seemed to know exactly where they would run. "They're trying to reach the jump point," Wu reported. "Cut them off," ordered Pattern Omega. The human fleet dispersed and reformed in a new configuration, blocking every escape route. It was a tactic that should have required hours of coordination. They did it in 4 minutes. They were surrounded, trapped, prey that had been caught by patient hunters. This is Captain of Earth Defense Force to all ships, broadcast. You have two choices, surrender or die. You have 30 seconds to decide. In those 30 seconds, 300 ships chose to fight. They were destroyed in 2 minutes. The rest surrendered. Admiral watched the battle reports come in. Victory, complete, overwhelming victory. Of the 10,000 ships, 127 remained. The rest were destroyed or disabled. Human losses, 42 ships. Most had been in the first hour when the still had numbers on their side. "It's over," he said to President. "No," replied. "It's just beginning. The galaxy watched this battle. They saw what we did, what we can do. Everything has changed." She was right. Across known space, every species that had watched the battle sat in stunned silence. The humans they had known, the peaceful philosophers and poets, had just destroyed the galaxy's most powerful military fleet. And they had made it look easy. On the remaining government officials received the reports. 98% casualties, their fleet annihilated, their supreme commander captured. And from Earth, a new message. You have 48 hours to withdraw from all human territories and release all human prisoners. If you comply, you will be allowed to survive. If you resist, we will come to your, and you have seen what happens when we hunt. The who had laughed at humanity's warning now understood. The monsters they had imagined in their darkest myths were real. And they had been sleeping next door for 200 years. Commander Bin returned to his ship, his armor covered in blood. Sola stood beside him, equally blood-stained. "We won," she said. "Yes. So why don't you look happy?" Bin removed his helmet and met her eyes. "Because now the real question begins. We've shown the galaxy what we are, what we can be. The suppressors are off. Can we ever put them back on? Do we even want to?" Sola looked at her hands. They had killed dozens today. It had been easy, natural, right. "I don't think we can go back," she said quietly. "Neither do I," Bin agreed. "And that's what terrifies me." 6 weeks after the battle, the Empire was no more. It hadn't required another fight. The moment human ships appeared in orbit around the government surrendered everything. Territory, weapons, pride. Captain stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching officials sign surrender documents. The Supreme Commander was there, his arms still in medical braces. He wouldn't look at, couldn't. "All human prisoners have been released," the representative said, his voice hollow. "All occupied territories have been evacuated. We comply with all terms." "Good," said. His voice was still calm, still cold. The predator hadn't gone away. "Remember this moment. Remember what happens when you attack us." The left quickly, watched them go and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no mercy, just acknowledgement that the threat had been neutralized. "Sir," Lieutenant Wu said, "we're receiving requests from 17 other species. They want to negotiate new treaties." Wasn't surprised. Half the galaxy had attacked or threatened human colonies in the past. Now they all wanted to be friends. "Tell them Ambassador will handle negotiations. We have other work to do." The Galactic Council convened for the first time since the battle. The chamber was tense. Every species representative looked at the human delegation differently now, with fear, with respect, with uncertainty. Ambassador walked to the central podium. She looked the same as before, but everyone could sense the change in her. The sharpness, the focus, the controlled danger. "For 200 years," she began, "humanity has been a member of this council. We joined you in peace. We suppressed our nature to fit into your civilization. We changed ourselves to be acceptable to you." The chamber was silent. "You interpreted our choice as weakness. You saw our restraint as inability. You believed we were prey." She paused. "You were wrong." A representative from the Union raised a tentacle. "Ambassador, many of us are concerned. You have demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what was reported. You have shown aggression levels inconsistent with your previous behavior. The Council needs assurance that humanity will not become a threat to galactic peace." Smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "You're asking if we'll attack you unprovoked. The answer is no. We have no interest in conquest, but we will never again allow ourselves to be attacked without response. We will never again pretend to be weak. We will never again suppress our nature to make you comfortable." "So the genetic modifications are permanent?" another representative asked. "You will remain as you are now." "Some humans are choosing to reactivate partial suppressors," admitted. "But we will never return to what we were. The galaxy has seen the truth. There's no point in hiding it anymore." On Earth, President met with Dr. Ara to discuss the reversion data. The results were mixed. 38% of the population has requested partial suppressor reactivation, Ara reported. They want to maintain some of the peaceful modifications while keeping the enhanced physical and mental capabilities. And the rest? They prefer to remain at baseline. They're adapting to their true nature. Looked at the reports. Crime rates were up, but not as much as feared. Violent crime had actually decreased because everyone was now capable of defending themselves. Society was adjusting, reorganizing around the new reality. "What about you, Doctor?" asked. "Have you reactivated your suppressors?" Ara shook her head. "No, I spent my whole life studying what humans used to be. Now I finally understand it. I'm not giving that up." "Neither am I," said quietly. "I used to think the modifications made us better, more civilized. Now I realize they just made us different, not better, just different." Commander Bin supervised training exercises at the lunar facility. New recruits were learning to use their baseline capabilities, learning to hunt, to track, to coordinate, to kill efficiently. Sola approached him with a report. "Commander, we have 5,000 applicants for special operations. 3 years ago, we had 200. Everyone wants to be a warrior now," Bin observed. "They've tasted what we are and they like it." "Is that wrong?" "I don't know. Our ancestors were warriors, but they were also scientists, artists, teachers. We can't become a society focused only on violence." "We won't," Sola said confidently. "We're still human. We still create, still explore, still dream. We're just honest about our capabilities now." Bin nodded. She was probably right. Humanity had always been complicated, creative and destructive, peaceful and violent, civilized and savage. The suppressors had tried to remove one side of that equation. Now both sides were active again. "Keep training them," he said, "but train them in restraint too. Power without control is just chaos." Lieutenant Wu returned to his family on Earth for the first time since the reversion. His mother greeted him at the door and he almost didn't recognize her. She stood, moved with more confidence, looked at him with sharper eyes. "You've changed," she said. "So have you, Mom." They sat together and she asked him about the battle. He told her everything, not sparing the details. The killing, the efficiency, how easy it had been. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I don't know. I did things I never thought I could do. And the worst part is I was good at it. It felt right." His mother took his hand. "Your grandfather fought in the last war before the modifications. He told me once that humans were meant to be protectors, that our violence should serve our compassion, not replace it. You fought to protect people. That's not wrong." "But I enjoyed it," Wu admitted. "In the moment, I enjoyed the hunt." "You're a predator," his mother said simply. "Predators enjoy the hunt. It's natural. The question isn't whether you enjoyed it. The question is, can you stop when the hunting is done?" Wu thought about that. Could he? He had been offered a promotion, a position training new pilots. He could keep fighting, keep hunting. Or he could step back, use his skills to teach others. "I can stop," he said finally. "I don't want to become just a weapon." "Then you won't," his mother assured him. That's what makes us human, not our strength or our violence, but our choice. Stood at the memorial for New Soul. 50,000 names carved into black stone. She had been a teacher there, had known many of those names personally. A hand touched her shoulder. She turned to see Admiral standing beside her. "I read your report," he said, "about the transport ship, what you did." "Are you here to arrest me?" asked. She had killed without orders, had acted on instinct. "No, I'm here to recruit you. Earth needs people like you, people who survived, people who understand what we lost and what we gained." "I killed them with my bare hands," said quietly. "I didn't hesitate, didn't feel remorse. Does that make me a monster?" "It makes you human," replied. "The real kind. Our ancestors survived because they could kill when necessary. That's not evil, it's survival." "But I liked it." "So did every human who fought in the battle. So do I when I'm honest with myself. We're predators, we evolved to hunt. But we also evolved to care for our pack, to protect our young, to build civilizations. We're both things at once." Looked at the memorial again. "What do we do now?" "We rebuild, we remember, and we make sure no one ever attacks us again." The Galactic Council passed new resolutions. Human territory was formally recognized and expanded. Economic sanctions against Earth were lifted. Trade agreements were renegotiated in humanity's favor. No one wanted to anger the apex predators. But some species saw opportunity. The peaceful, who had always been bullied by stronger neighbors, requested human protection. 3 other species followed. Ambassador brought the requests to President. "They want us to be their protectors," said, reading the documents. "They're afraid of other species now that they've seen what we can do." "And we've shown we can fight," pointed out. "We could use that, build an alliance, establish Earth as the guarantor of peace. Peace through strength. Is there any other kind that works?" Considered, 200 years ago humanity had chosen peace through weakness. It hadn't worked. Now they were being offered a different path. "Accept the request," she said finally. "But make it clear, we protect those who can't protect themselves. We don't conquer, we don't enslave, we defend." "Understood." As left pulled up the old files from before the modifications. Images of Earth's history, war, conflict, violence, but also cooperation, civilization, progress. Humanity had always been complicated. The suppressors had tried to make them simple, tried to make them safe. "We were never safe," said to herself. "We just pretended to be." 1 year after the battle, Captain stood before a new crew on the Prometheus. They were young, eager, dangerous. They had all grown up with suppressors and then experienced the reversion. "You're the first generation to know both sides," told them. "You know what humans were when we tried to be civilized, and you know what we are when we're honest. Your job is to find balance." "Sir," one young officer asked, "do you think we can find balance?" Thought about his own journey, the diplomatic captain who had become a warrior, who had learned to hunt, to kill, to win, who still, sometimes, missed the simpler days when humans were just peaceful explorers. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but we have to try, because the alternative is becoming monsters, real monsters, not the kind that defend their people but the kind that destroy everything." He looked at each of them. "The galaxy knows what we can do now. They fear us. Some hate us. Our job is to prove that their fear is enough, that they don't need to hate us. We can be strong without being cruel. We can be dangerous without being evil." "And if they attack us again?" someone asked. His expression hardened. "Then we remind them of what happened to the—" The crew nodded. They understood. Humanity had changed, could never go back, but they could choose what they became moving forward. On the moon, at Facility Omega, Commander Bin walked through halls that were no longer secret. The weapons, the ships, the technology that humanity had hidden for 2 centuries were now openly acknowledged. Young Sola walked beside him. "Commander, I've been thinking. What we did, showing the galaxy our true nature, was it worth it? We're alive, Binge said. We're free, we're no longer prey. Was it worth it? But we lost something too, our innocence, our peace. We lost the illusion of peace, Binge corrected. Real peace comes from strength, not weakness. We know that now. They reached a viewing window overlooking Earth. The blue planet hung in space, beautiful and deadly. I hope you're right, Sola said. So do I. Below them on Earth, humanity continued its transformation. Cities rebuilt, colonies expanded. Children grew up learning both compassion and combat, learning that they were apex predators who chose to be civilized. The galaxy watched and learned a new lesson. Never mistake mercy for weakness. Never interpret kindness as inability. Never believe that peaceful people are harmless people. Because humanity had spent 200 years pretending to be something they weren't. And now the pretending was over. The galaxy had been warned.